Systems of oppression never fail to amaze me, especially in America, because this is, from like my perspective, if I were like a power hungry super demon that wanted to control a culturally diverse nation, I would have to make sure that I put these criteria in place, and then I make sure that all the people in that box hate each other and they're waiting on me, the person who is manufacturing this chaos, to save them. I would first have to control the people who birth the society, women. Second, I would have to control the people who build society. I don't want to just only say men because we all do it together, but specifically for this circumstance, we're going to say men. And a little racist twinge on it, because we have to decide who is a man and who is a slave, we'll say black and marginalized men. Now, the final part of that is the children, the most vulnerable class of human, I think, especially in American society, because the children don't build or birth, but they become whatever the reality is they are taught of, or they are indoctrinated into believing. This is why for colonization it's so important to delete the fathers and then to steal the mothers, or at least to separate the mothers from the children, so they are completely at the mercy of the indoctrination of the master. And if I can actually double back and go back to the controlling the birthers and the women, I also want to include controlling LGBTQ people in there, because it's not that they're birthers themselves, but pursuing love, especially queer love, in a way that two human beings or multiple human beings can love each other without the forced destination or expectation of creating children. Literally just cultivating the energy of love and then sharing that to whatever extensions of life they connect to. That is detrimental against this forced increased population and like need to create slaves like Elon Musk wants to do so bad. So you have to say, not only are women only supposed to be wives and mothers, but you're not allowed to be anything else outside of this, or even access love and connection and complement genuinely in relationship outside of this specific way that we do it. Now, what are those three systems we're going to put in place to perpetuate this type of oppression? Well, for the conquering of man, of course, it's capitalism, and the final stage of capitalism is purely just slavery. For women, it's patriarchy. The final stage of patriarchy is Handmaid's Tale. And then to make sure that you can justify stealing children that you didn't create to make them become something that they're not supposed to be, you just have to double down the military-industrial complex with nationalized religious philosophy or some kind of religious psychosis that can go around and get people to say, hey, we just deleted people and there's blood on our hands, but this book that we read basically sanitizes our hands of that. So it's either just going to be accepted as a necessary evil as to what we did to get what we wanted, or you guys can just gaslight yourselves and say, hey, all of this suffering is happening because you're a shit human being, because you're black, because you're this, because you're this, and you have to wait on the person that did it to you to come save you, to come to their senses and save you. Like, you have to really sit here and just think of the cognitive dissonance of aligning military with religion. Another interesting perspective I have is that poor people are the only people who lose during war. We're the ones who don't involve ourselves in it. We don't incite it. We don't create it. But who our allegiance falls under forces us to participate in the game. Even if there's a guaranteed chance that we lose lives or we lose the war or whatever the battle is, we don't start the wars, we get into the war, we end up deleting other men, women, and children from other people that didn't involve themselves in the war. They're probably forced to do it by obligation. And the only person who wins, or people who win, are the wealthy people who, again, come out with the least lives lost and like the most land conquered. And an interesting conclusion we're going to get to is the final thing that's just like allowed to let all of this happen so effectively, and just it sabotages any type of means of taking one of these systems down, is the racism part. You guys might not want to accept that, but I promise to God, it's the racism part. The inability for white people to see themselves as anything other than above, like superior to, and maybe at the least equal to, but we know you guys don't fucking believe in that shit. You'll never look at other people as more deserving of love, of accommodation, of being, centered, being appreciated. You'll never look at anybody as deserving of more than you in this life, especially when it comes to like a humanizing humanity sense. And because of that, anytime us marginalized people create opportunities or missions or get together to really start tearing down these systems of oppression, because we finally recognize we will never get any real power out of them, we're giving more to than we get, and we have to give to our own systems to truly reciprocate the value that we want, then you guys start to sabotage them. Because you realize most of you have a better chance of gaining power and authority and credibility in this current system, as oppressive as it is, because you can exploit the hope of people who still believe in you, like you're going to do the work that you say you're going to do. But when black people stop believing in this blonde Jesus, when women stop waiting on a man to come save them, when children stop looking up to elders who are stupid and don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and people start looking within and listening to that inner calling and becoming a consequence of self-acceptance and actualization rather than self-rejection and external validation seeking, how much more difficult is it to not only control those people, but convince them that they are less than human being and need to be saved by the same group of people that literally dehumanizes the fuck out of them? Make it make sense. Oh wait, it doesn't, because cognitive dissonance. I'll conclude this video because I'm probably going to get called a racist for saying that last part. I'll conclude this video by saying the only way to free ourselves from the identity politics is determining what it means to be a human being. And I've had this conversation a handful of times, but specifically as it pertains to artificial intelligence, because of course we're saying that we're going to damn near replace humans out of society. It's not just out of the workforce. We're replacing humans out of society and replacing them with robots that are more agreeable and more serviceable. But if we don't get to a place where we decide what it means to be a human being, especially outside of productivity and profitability under capitalism, we will never ever genuinely figure out what world we want to create that we can exist in, that is free from this constant power struggle, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, fighting for crumbs of power, if power at all, in a system that we're never going to get it in. Because the founders of this system, the perpetuators of this system, the rulers of the system as it is today, still don't look at us as human beings. Because if they did, then they'd have to look at how much wealth they've created off of dehumanizing us, and how they'd have to return that to us or stop the game completely. And both of those are unprofitable. So pick and choose. This video is just to let you know, like, with everything that's going down in society, pick and choose what side you're on. And pick very clearly, bro, because I'm telling you right pick and choose your side, bro. And I guess we'll finish with this point here. I honestly believe that the unaddressed Nazism and like racism just as a whole, it's so stupid when when ignorance is given this much authority and power, it convinces itself that it actually deserves it, and then it starts behaving in ways that are aligned with being an authoritative force, rather than recognizing we basically just DEI'd all this power and like the power structures and systems to go to the most undeserving people in probably human history. That's going to implode this country. And the best part about this, and I know I don't want to say that like it's a good thing that America's going to crash, but finally you will have removed all the marginalized people that you blame for all of your problems. Finally put only people that look like you, Uncle Sam, in office. And then when the whole country implodes, the only people to look at will be you, because you removed all the other marginalized people you could have blamed for fucking this thing up. And at that point, is the accountability issue so bad that you just leave, like that movie Don't Look Up, where the billionaires just like kind of looked at each other and said, oh, the world's crashing, we're gonna dip? Or will you take accountability at that point? I feel like I don't even feel like I feel like accountability and Jesus coming back are the same thing for you white people.